All right, guys, today we're talking to another very special guest. He's one of the most recognized SEOs on the planet, a YouTube SEO genius, and more than anything, he's an incredible educator. We're going to be talking to Sam O of Ahrefs. I hope you guys enjoy. How's it going, Sam? How are you doing today?
Going good.
Where are you based out of?
I'm in Boston now. So I used to be in Toronto and now I'm in Boston.
Cool. But most of the Ahrefs company is in Singapore, right?
I would say that we're 50-50. Okay. Actually, we probably have more remote now than we do in Singapore, but really? Yeah, we're spread out everywhere.
Cool. I'd love to get a little intro, just how you got into SEO, how you got into the digital space, if you could tell us about that.
Sure. So I started my first business, e-commerce business in 2008, 2009. And like, sure enough, I built the site, figured that out, realized that I need to get traffic to it to make it anything meaningful. And I discovered SEO, and it's a story that's commonly told by many people. I got scammed by a company and basically put whatever I had saved into that company. And then I just got angry. And so I figured out SEO on my own. Went the Blackhat route in the beginning. And so learned a lot. Yeah, you learn a lot going that route because you're kind of forced to be creative in different ways. Yeah. And so, I started off in Blackhat SEO and sold the company in 2012. And then I started kind of just building my own sites because I realized how powerful SEO was. Did more e-commerce, started an agency, and then 2018, I joined Ahrefs.
Amazing. What type of Blackhat stuff were you doing?
It was mostly just like links, like PBNs and stuff, but it was back then, I think it was called Build My Links. And then that got punished. I don't know how long you've been in SEO, but yeah, it was called, I think it was Build My Links. And you would pay X number of dollars, you would spin content, and then they had their own PBN, I believe, and then you would get links, and it worked. And that's when you realize how powerful links are is once you actually get them, and then just see your ranking skyrocket.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I also got started with PBNs, and it was incredible. I mean, it really worked back then. I do want to take a quick moment to mention that we are wearing the same shirt.
Yes, so we are. This was not coordinated.
Yeah, it was not. I didn't want to miss the opportunity. And can you tell us about how you got into Ahrefs? I have heard that first there was a job post that was out there, and then you tried to turn Ahrefs into a lead for your agency, I believe, right? Could you tell us about that?
So that's exactly it. So back then I was doing agency work, and I had this idea. I was doing mostly lead generation at that time. And I was thinking, well, intent is there if somebody posts a job post. And I know that a lot of people are willing to outsource, even if they are hiring for a full-time position. Some people, it's non-negotiable. But yeah, anyway, because the intent was there, I saw that Ahrefs was hiring for a position called funnel hacker. And so I decided to just reach out to Tim and start a conversation about what was going on. And as we were talking, I think I was trying to lead the conversation towards Ahrefs becoming a client, like hands off, we'll take care of everything. And he realized that funnel hacker is not what they wanted to hire. And so he was interested in, he was saying maybe a content position because I saw some of your videos. And eventually after I think it was 8 months of discussing a role, and at that time, it was good timing for me because I had just had my second child, and I kind of wanted to get away from agency world and the crazy hours that comes with. And so I decided, okay, well, like if we can make this work, then let's try it. And yeah, January 2018, I joined Ahrefs, and here we are today.
Amazing. What's your day-to-day looking like right now over at Ahrefs?
It's different every day, but I guess for the most part, because we're all in different time zones. So I have my video team, who is pretty much everyone is in Europe. And then Tim is in Singapore, and right now we're 13 hours apart. And then Josh, who runs the blog, is in the UK. So basically, when I wake up, I have all these messages from my team, because they had woken up 6 to 13 hours earlier than I had. And so I'm usually just going through messages, going through our project management stuff, and making sure that I'm not blocking anyone. So any video stuff is usually what I'll take care of in the morning, or I'll speak with Tim before he goes to sleep. And then the afternoons are reserved for my creative time. So if I'm working on anything related to operations, then that's when I'm kind of brainstorming. I occasionally write code for things to make like in-app scripts, for example, to make things more efficient within our marketing operations, or creating systems. And then there's also the content creation for YouTube. So basically, whatever needs my attention most is kind of where I'm spending my afternoon. And mornings are mostly with communication, and we don't have many meetings, which I'm very fortunate to not have.
I didn't know that you knew how to code.
I do. So like I learned because of that first business, because I didn't have any money to hire someone to do that for me. And information was not as accessible in 2008, 2009. And so, I basically got a quote for somebody to automate some API stuff for like $35,000. And I was like, Jesus. I don't have $35,000. Like, and so I eventually just learned it on my own. I think I actually traded with, this is a little bit of a funny story, but so I used to work at Starbucks, and that was my office. Okay. And like the employees eventually got to know me because I was there every day for like 12, 14 hours a day. Mm-hmm. And one of the guys, he's like, what are you doing? And so I kind of explained to him about search and e-commerce. And I told him that now I'm trying to learn how to code. And he's like, oh, I know how. And then I was like, okay, well, can you do this project for me? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, how much do you charge? He's like, I don't know. I've never really done this before, for anyone. And then I think eventually we ended up trading for bottles of vodka. I think that's actually how it ended up being. Anyway, yeah, he was of age, so it's not like I was trading with an underage person or anything like that. But anyway, that's how I got my start in coding. And I wouldn't claim to be a coder or a programmer, but I do know how to write enough to make my hacky programs. Yeah, no, super important. That's a great skill to have. I do want to ask, I have a bunch of questions about YouTube and about YouTube SEO. First of all, I want to congratulate you for that channel. It is honestly insane. So much value to the SEO space. Can you give us a bit of insight into the process behind every video? I assume it's changed a lot, obviously, when you joined to what it is now. And having a channel, I'm really interested in what the process looks like from keyword research. I don't even know if you guys are still doing keyword research, but if you guys are doing keyword research, what's the process for that? Where does the script come in? What about the thumbnails? What's the timeline, and how does everything fit together? Yeah, so things have changed quite a bit since the beginning. So when I took over the channel in, I think it was March 2018, we had, I think, 11,000 subscribers. I think today we're over 370, which is I think it's pretty quick growth for in the B2B boring niche kind of space, like SEO. Obviously, you and I don't think that SEO is boring, but, objectively speaking, I think compared to gaming or fashion or whatever, It's not as fun. It doesn't have as broad appeal. But back then I started off with keyword research. And so I would always look for opportunities where I could rank in Google search as well as YouTube search, just to kind of get as much traction as we could. We embedded our videos as much as possible within our blog post to send people over there who preferred a video format, who would later subscribe, and then we would earn their, views going forward. Mm-hmm. Now it's different. I haven't done keyword research in a very long time because our audience is now at a place where we can basically if we look at our traffic graphs, search is just like this. It's I guess from this view, it would be like this. Yeah. And then suggested, which are more based on interests and previous videos that they've watched, was very kind of like this. But now our suggested is going like this, it's going vertical. Mm-hmm. And our search is still just kind of leveling out because now we've covered pretty much every main topic on YouTube that I'm aware of in the SEO space. And I think we're ranking top 2, top 3 for pretty much everything that we want to rank for. So what does the team look like for video content production for Ahrefs, and who comes up with the ideas? How does it go? What's the back and forth looking like? Yeah, so we have a very interesting review process, I guess. Maybe it's not interesting, but Josh and I come up with the ideas for the videos, mm-hmm. and I don't really ask for anyone's feedback unless I have my doubts or unless it's a bigger project, for example, a course. Then I'll create an outline of what I think the flow should look like. And then I'll pass that over to Josh and I'll say, hey, what do you think of this flow? And he knows that I obsess over flow. And so he'll give his feedback, and he's similar to me in that sense. And then after, I'll just script it, and then Josh will review it, and he's basically looking for inaccuracies or ways that we can improve the flow or kind of the illustrations of what we're trying to demonstrate in that video. And then previously, so when we first started, I would kind of do everything. So I would do the cuts, I would do some of the edits, and then upload closed captions, like descriptions, everything. Now we're in a place where I'm fortunate that I don't have to do any of that anymore. So I just record it and then I pass it off to our producer pass it off to our editors and producer, and whoever has the bandwidth at that moment will cut the video. So basically all the parts that I screwed up, and I screw up a lot. And then they will kind of stitch it together, and then our producer will go in and mark it up, basically saying we want this to happen here, this to happen here, and this to happen there. Editors will go through it, producer, and then it's a loop. They basically go back and forth, and our producer, George, he knows that I'm very picky with certain things. And so they'll go back sometimes 8-9 times before I actually see what they think should be the final video. And then I'll have my final input before it goes live. And then we have somebody who uploads, writes the description, tags, and everything.
Oh, so that's nice. That's nice. Because that's one of the biggest pains in the ass of uploading a video. It's all the little intricacies of
there's a lot. Description,
title, the tags. Yeah.
Yeah, there is a lot. And so, I'm very blessed to have our team who is amazing at what they do. They just make me look good. Really, like I'm just presenting one script and that's it. That's all I do.
Aren't you guys running out of topics for your YouTube channel? I mean, I've posted 80, might be 81 videos now, and I'm having a hard time coming up with video ideas. I don't know how you guys keep churning out videos. Like how does that, are you guys running out of ideas? Is it just me?
No, it's not just you. Like I felt like I was running out of ideas in like 2019, 2020. Now that we're at a channel size where, we can pretty much publish anything and somebody will watch it, it's a little bit easier. So I'm not looking necessarily for search volume, but we're also broadening and widening and experimenting with different content formats. And so that's why right now we're not running out, but there are times where I get stuck and I'm like, I've already done something like this. I don't want to do that again. But oftentimes YouTube now has something called audiences where they show like different videos that your subscribers are watching. Mm-hmm. And so I've been looking at stuff like that, and everyone's watching things on ChatGPT right now. Yeah. And so we have a ChatGPT video coming out in a week or two. Oh, and good. So like, dude, I want to write about it? Not really. Because like literally on Twitter, LinkedIn, everywhere, like you just see these threads overhyping. And so we've taken a slightly different angle to ChatGPT, and we'll see how that goes. But like, you never really know. It's just experimenting and just kind of seeing what happens. So we don't run out of topics, but sometimes it feels that way. So I get you.
Can you give me, or can you give the audience a quick breakdown of what YouTube SEO is? I tell everybody that it's a lot simpler than SEO on Google. It's just a few things that you need to take care of. What does YouTube SEO look like for you?
Yeah, so there's YouTube SEO in the sense where you're trying to rank in YouTube search. So increase visibility in YouTube search. YouTube search is kind of interesting in the sense that basically the videos that don't move are those in position 1, 2, and 3. And oftentimes between 4 to 10, like if you're ranking in position 8, it doesn't really mean much because that just gets cycled through. But yeah, so there's, the keyword element to it. And then, you keyword in title and your description and your tags, whatever. The actual optimization is easy. Something that people often miss is the in-content optimizations. So because Google and YouTube, they have said that they read closed captions. That's why there's those auto-generated captions to better understand a video. And they also read text on images. So let's say, for example, like in our videos, we have title screens. And so in those title screens, we often have like, I don't want to call them keyword rich like headings, but we have headings that might be like how to do keyword research if we're doing a keyword research video. And then we'll have step 1, 2, 3, and we'll kind of walk you through it. But apparently YouTube, Google, they're all reading those, and they have been for a while. And there's patents on it as well, where they are able to decipher what a recipe is. And so if you say like stir the eggs, and they want to see in the video that you're actually stirring the eggs. And so things like that, it's tougher with tutorials, but we try and show that, and it's just kind of become second nature. And I think that helps with our rankings because a lot of people miss out on those details. But then there's also YouTube SEO in the sense of ranking in suggested, and that's still YouTube organic, right? Yeah. But most people think of it in terms of actual search. And I kind of do too. And I kind of think of suggested as a different way to optimize.
Yeah. Do you know off the top of your head the breakdown of where the views are coming in for your channel? Like, what's the percentage of search? What's the percentage of browse suggested, for example? Just the top three, just to have an idea of where you guys are dominating the most.
I can tell you, I just need to look at the analytics. I haven't looked at this in a while. So over the last, let's just say 90 days, it's tough to say because we have some YouTube ads running right now. And so that's just dominating in terms of, I would say that we have a lot so YouTube search is number one.
Okay.
And then we would have suggested, and then external, and then browse.
Interesting. And the external higher than browse.
Well, we have Ahrefs.com, right? So
of course.
We have tons of people there. We also have the Academy, and we stopped doing Wistia videos for courses that we put up there. So our course videos get a ton of views. Like our SEO course for beginners, I think is the full length video is at like 1.5 million views over around a year, I think.
Jesus.
And the average watch times are pretty good on there too. But suggested, interestingly, not that interestingly, it's kind of predicted, has significantly higher watch times than any other traffic source.
Cool. Thanks for sharing. Also, out of curiosity, how many videos are in the backlog ready to post? Like if you do a video today, how many videos are you ahead?
Yeah, that's a good question. When I have time to focus solely on video, I create content pretty quickly, but because I'm spread in a lot of different areas now, we don't have that many now. So right now, I think we have like 3 or 4 that are more or less ready, or at least they're recorded. But before, there was a time where I had like 12, 14, 15 videos ahead of time. And that's when I was I would write 3 or 4 scripts per week. And so I come from a lot of experience. So in the first 2 or 3 years, I was basically writing from experience. And as I was learning Ahrefs better in those years, then I found different ways to do it in a much more efficient way in Ahrefs. And so, I was literally just like a content farm, basically, is what it felt like. But now that we've covered all the main topics, like as you've said before, it takes me a little longer because I do need to do more research. Like if I'm doing like top niches and whatever, or low competition niches, for example, like I have to actually research and find things that are interesting, look into these sites. And so it takes a little bit more time. I can probably still churn out 2 or 3 of those per week, but not with other responsibilities at this time.
What about your thumbnails? Your thumbnails are insane. It's honestly like, there's one that I think about all the time when I'm making my thumbnails. There's a crane in the thumbnail, and I think you're holding on to the crane, or I don't know. You guys are so creative with your thumbnails. They're incredible. I'm not sure.
Like I just send off ideas to our designers, and then he just puts things together. So like I'll come up with like crazy ideas like that. Like for example, like me hanging off a crane, like thumbs up. I don't have time to take a picture. So can you just find a stock photo to Photoshop my head on? Like our instructions will look like that. Or other times, like it's always better if I can give him a photo. But I try to think of, I feel like our thumbnail game has a lot, like we have a lot of work to do. And because I'm doing it by myself, it's harder. Like dedicated YouTube businesses like Mr. Beast or whatever, they have huge teams that are like brainstorming thumbnail ideas or titles or whatever. Like it's just me, myself, and I. And then I have Josh, who I can just kind of throw an idea to, but the way that we think it is quite different. So sometimes it's not unproductive.
Can you tell us about some YouTube SEO tests that you guys have done in the past, if you have done any?
YouTube SEO tests, not so much. Like there was a time where I was split testing title tags and thumbnails using TubeBuddy, and I found that worked well. I just can't be bothered with that now. And so I don't think that the gain was significant enough for me to continue to do it. Yeah, in terms of tests, not so much. Basically, we would just follow best practices. At the time when I was learning YouTube SEO, I would just read through, I read through some of the patents and just kind of applied and just tried. And because I came from an SEO background, I was able to just pick it up quickly. So I really think that like people who are in SEO, who are good at their craft, can pick up YouTube SEO very, very quickly. And it just comes down to, can you retain people's attention? Right. If you can, you will win. If you can't, like it doesn't matter how good your YouTube SEO is, like you're just not going to win.
Kind of closely tied to that, I did see that you had a channel a while back, your own YouTube channel. If you could tell Sam from that YouTube channel, who I think has around 4K subs, which is kind of where I'm at right now, what would you tell him about making YouTube videos, about what you've learned so far over at Ahrefs?
That's a good question. I don't know. Like I would tell him that you have really crappy videos. Like I looked at my videos like maybe like a year ago and I was like, man, this is cringy. But yeah, no, it's just, I would say just to find like a focus. So if YouTube SEO is the focus in the beginning, you may not get explosive views like these people who are getting, 500,000 views in 5 days. And you're like, what? Like, I just need to do that too. I can make a better video on this. And I would just stay the course with YouTube SEO. The good thing with YouTube SEO, in my opinion, at least in B2B, is that it's consistent. So once you're ranking, and once you take that spot, you just get consistent views, and consistent views, assuming your content delivers, leads to consistent subscribers. And then the way that the YouTube algorithm works, or the way that I think it works at least, is that as you build those subscribers, then they're able to better understand the type of people that are into content like yours. Then they're able to recommend that through the recommendation engine. You build up more subscribers, and it kind of grows at a steady pace. And that's kind of what I've been doing with our YouTube channel from the beginning, is not trying to get fancy with clickbaity stuff. And I don't think I've ever once clickbaited in the titles. Maybe some people will disagree, but yeah, that's kind of just stay the course. And then when you start to see things plateau is when you need to consider pivoting. So for me, I've been considering pivoting for 2 years, and it's things that we're gradually testing, because our current style of video still works. Like, it still works for us. It helps generate new customers. It helps our current customers find ways that they can apply it in their business. And so why would we stop them? It doesn't make sense. Even if some people are dropping off, it's still working. So we'll still continue that while exploring new genres and new formats. And
YouTube Shorts? Have you guys thought about that?
Yeah, I've thought about that a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't think we've missed it yet. But I just didn't have time to prioritize to shorts, because our longer form content is more impactful, I think, because it's not like we sell a $10 software or ebook or whatever. Yeah, people need to see how it works properly. So I've just been prioritizing based on, I guess, business value. So shorts, I think, is a great way to reach a lot of people fast. Yep. And short form video is something that we will explore this year.
Interesting. Looking forward to seeing that. Okay, I have a bunch of SEO questions. The first one is, what are most people doing wrong in their link building?
Like the same spammy
outreach.
Like, you know what? Right. I think that a lot of that spammy outreach comes from bad prospecting. So when you're prospecting, a lot of people tend to go too broad, in my opinion. So this is all my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that people go way too broad. So somebody who has mentioned keyword research in their content, like, that is just way too broad. Right. And then they'll just throw out the same spammy guest post email to those, 10 million people. Whereas, like, I really like the idea of going in segments. So I made a link building course for Ahrefs Academy. And in that course, I teach a concept which I called the seed and lookalike approach, which is basically finding a seed. So you find something unique that's interesting. So for example, in our SEO stats campaign, our link building campaign, we noticed that Search Engine Journal, the majority of their backlinks come from a specific stat that says 93% of online experiences begin with a search engine. That's a seed. So for us, that was just kind of interesting. It's like, if they're getting 25% of their links because of that stat, let's look into that stat a bit more. And we find out that stat's from 2008 or something. So we're like, okay, well, what is it today? And we find that 68% of online experiences begin with a search engine. Now we have a list of like 300 prospects that are linking to Search Engine Journal's page because of this 93 or 91% stat, which happens to not even be on that page anymore because they've updated it so many times. And so we create our page and we go 68% of online experiences begin with the search engine. And then we reach out to these people with an outreach email like, hey, like you mentioned this stat, it's really outdated. By the way, it's actually not even on that page anymore. So I don't know where that stat comes from, but now it's 68% and we think that it's because of X, Y, and Z. We have this stats page that has more stuff that you might be interested in. Check it out. Change the stat if you're interested. If not, whatever, like have a great day. And sure enough, like we did this, we no index the pages. And as soon as we index them, and I think within like a week or two, we were top 5. Wow. And so we built enough links from these segments with personalized emails, which we could send like 300-400 emails, and each person would receive something that felt more personalized than like, I see that you're into keyword research. Would you like a blog post on social media marketing? Like those are the kind of outreach emails that I get. And I'm just like, where do you even come up with this?
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's my long answer to, that question.
Are you guys still doing link building over Ahrefs? Do you guys have a team that does? I mean, I feel like you guys don't really need. Yeah.
No, we've kind of stopped. Like we tried it. It worked and then it didn't work. And I think, a lot of that is on me. I just didn't have time to oversee it as much. Yeah, but we don't really need to build links. Something that I am working on is a project for fully automated link building. So is it possible to fully automate link building from prospecting to outreach? Like literally without lifting a finger, it just builds links for you. I know it sounds like one of those scammy things, but like I've
tell me about it. What does that look like?
So APIs, it's all APIs. Okay. And so I have access to Ahrefs API. And so I'm able to pull backlinks. And if I can find segments like that 93%, then technically I can pull prospects into a sheet in an automated way, right? And then many years ago, I built an author scraper. So basically it crawls different pages and it pulls authors' details from those pages. And then I've built an API for that. So I can now crawl those pages in an automated way, pull the author information. Then I can get the email address from Hunter's API. That's automated. Never Bounce's API to verify whether it's a valid email or not, automated. Send it to Pitchbox, Mailshake, whatever, automated. So technically, once it's set up, it can work. So that's my theory, at least. And so I'm building it to prove or disprove my idea. And this is kind of the idea. Like I'm speaking at Brighton SEO this year, and so I plan to share more details about that. Whether I finish it or not, I'll either share the way that it was built or the results from it, and whether it's worth it or possible.
Really cool. How far along are you?
I already have everything built, actually. It's more just fine tuning it so that I can set it up. So I think this will work. My hypothesis is that it will work really well for evergreen campaigns. So an evergreen campaign might be an unlinked mentions campaign, or something like 91% of online experiences, where Search Engine Journal will continue to get links from that one specific stat. Then I could just keep pulling in backlinks, like anytime they get a new backlink, mentioning that specific stat in the anchor or surrounding text, then they get put through my author scraping cycle and whatever, right? And wake up in the morning, check your Pitchbox, Mailshake, whatever. If there's anything new in there, you just like vet it and send it. So I think it's an efficient way to do it with, you can do it with one person even.
That'd be interesting. That'd be really cool. What does it take to get published on the Ahrefs blog?
Well, we've changed the process quite a bit. We went through a process where we were hiring like crazy, and then we scaled it back, and now we wouldn't accept any guest posts at that time because we were still getting things in order with internally. Now we accept guest posts, and all you have to do now is just apply. And we try to keep it as unbiased as possible. So we don't look at names, email addresses, gender, like whatever, where like unconscious biases can come into play. And we judge based on the questions that you answered on previous content, whatever it might be. And then if you get accepted, then you'll get an email that says like, hey, you can write for our blog. I think we still pay our guest bloggers. So we don't do anything unpaid.
Very cool. And what are most people doing wrong with their content?
It's a good question. I think a lot of it comes down to expertise, and it's not really like within people's full control. So ChatGPT, for example, can write well-structured sentences, and it has a lot of information. But one thing that is extremely clear is in that content, there is no expertise. So in SEO, at least, I have enough experience to look at the content and say like, this is BS, like this is wrong, this is BS, whatever. If it was a topic about woodworking, for example, which I have like no experience in, I would look at it and I'd be like, oh, that's really good advice. But like a carpenter might come in and be like, this is awful advice. Like you should not do this. And I think that's kind of the same thing, is people are so obsessed with like this automation and stuff that they just try to churn out content, whether that's through freelance writers or through ChatGPT or whatever AI writing tools. And I think what ends up happening is that we all end up just creating the same crap. And I don't know, it's tough to stand out. And so people who do really go above and beyond, it's obvious when you read their content. And I think our blog is a good example of that, is that while people were going for scale, we continue to go and try to scale, but like also maintain that quality as well.
Have you guys been running any SEO tests on the blog? Anything you could share, things that have been working for you guys?
Not in particular. So like
No.
we don't have anything crazy going on right now. Something that I've done is internal linking. So I made a video, a SaaS SEO case study, where I covered Veed.io's traffic growth over time. And they have exploded in search traffic. Like I don't know where they're at now. I think when I covered them, they were at like 1.5 million. And then I looked like 3 weeks later from when the video was published, and they were at like 3 million.
Wow.
And they just keep going up like crazy. And a lot of their strategy, I think, came down to internal linking and also link building. So like, they're connected, right? You build links to that page becomes more authoritative. You send out PR to other pages that are important to you from those pages that have links. And so I kind of took some of those principles, and from our free tools pages, we added, if you go to any of our free tools pages, actually, at the bottom, you'll probably see, make sure that it's still there, like a carousel. It's not a carousel exactly. Oh yeah, you'll see links to 3 relevant blog posts. So like if you go to our backlink checker page, you'll see at the bottom of the page that we're linking to Beginner's Guide to Link Building Strategies, link building tools. And we did this across all of our free tools because our free tools organically get tons and tons and tons of links. And in that time, like that's the thing with SEO testing, is like it's really tough to say that it happened because of X.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's why I don't like to make conclusions like that. But around the time, so around a week or two after all the changes were implemented and we did them all at once, our traffic went straight back up. And so is it because of the internal linking? I don't know. Is it because of something that Google updated? I don't know. But regardless, it like this internal linking stuff, it creates a better user experience. And yeah, it just made a lot of sense.
What's bringing in more? I don't want to say revenue. I mean, yeah, I guess we could ask revenue. What's bringing in more sales? I guess is it the YouTube channel? Is it the blog? Is there a really big difference there?
It's tough to say. Like we don't track that. Like we don't even have Google Analytics installed.
Really?
Yeah. So it's like it's tough to say. Like we have a Slack channel called the Registrations, and we can see like where people came from, and we have tons of people say that they found us because of YouTube. We have tons of people that say that they found us because of like containing the keyword blog. Which blog was it? I don't know. Which YouTube channel was it? I don't know. But we know that, we've had tons and tons of people come from both sides of blog and content. And so, yeah, it's not so much like a comparison or anything like that. But yeah, both are definitely leading to new customers and helping to retain customers. So we continue to do it.
Is there a reason you guys don't use Google Analytics? Do you guys use something else, or just no? You guys don't track it?
No, we don't. So we track revenue, and when that goes up into the right, things are good, right? We just keep doing what we're doing. Okay. But the thing is that a lot of things, especially when it comes to attribution, people tend to make a lot of like wrong conclusions. And what ends up happening with that is that you are now looking at bad data, because you've interpreted it incorrectly. And if you follow that bad data, then it's going to lead to bad decisions. And you'll be like, what happened there? Well, nobody really knows. Like, unless you have, it's just like, it's such a nightmare when it really comes down to it. And like, so we just kind of like forget the headaches, forget trying to lead us in a direction that we don't really fully understand, especially with a product that is as complex as Ahrefs. Is you can't really say, oh yeah, they watched this video and so therefore they bought, a subscription for $100 to $200 or whatever it was. Right. And so, like how many touch points were there before? Can we track that? Are we looking at like the last click here? Where are we attributing? What is that value from that first click, from that ad, from that whatever? Like, forget it. Just like revenue up and to the right. Good.
Keep going. Yeah.
Yeah. And it just kind of makes things simpler. It takes pressure off, and like even pressure to come up with a reason why things are happening a certain way. Right. Because oftentimes when we're put in that position to figure out why something happened, we force a conclusion, which ends up being wrong. And so, I don't like the idea of leading with bad data. And our CEO and CMO are even have stronger opinions than I do on that. Also, like we just don't want to give data to big tech like Google. So.
Interesting. A little bit of a different topic, but what is the most underrated feature inside of Ahrefs?
Feature? I don't know. Tool? Content Explorer. I love Content
Tool,
Explorer.
yeah. Let's say tool more than feature.
Content
Context
Explorer,
yeah.
you can do keyword research.
You can do it all.
You can do it everything in there. It's basically like a search engine for marketers. And like, I still think of our tools, it's probably not used as much as like Site Explorer or Keywords Explorer or Site Audit. But man, I love Content Explorer. And like, I could, if I had to choose just one tool, I would probably choose Content Explorer because it just, there's so much you can do there.
Sam, let's say I'm starting out a brand new website. What are the first 3 things that I need to do to get traffic?
So I think even before you create that website, I think it's just the content structure and planning. So I think content structure is something that people ignore. They just
on page or
no, like even just like from whether you consider internal linking on page or technical, even connecting. So like clustering content, for example, like creating these pieces of content. This kind of comes to the idea of topical authority.
Yep.
And I don't think topical authority is really a thing. So
really interesting
in the way that people describe it.
Right.
So I think what ends up happening is we have content. So let's say that we have a cluster of content on putting. So in golf, putting. So we have things like best putters, and then we have Odyssey, whatever brand name review, and we have all these things, and they're all clustered together. And then we have, how to putt better or whatever the topics are. And we have, let's say, 20 topics within this cluster. Some people might say you are like topically authoritative in the area of putting. But what I think it's more, and maybe it's semantics, but when you start getting links to these putting pages and they're all linked together in some way, shape, or form, then you're passing PR through topically relevant pages. So is it because you have so much content on a specific topic, or is it because they are linked together from topically relevant pages that are also getting links and then passing PR around? So is it like, what is it, the chicken or the egg kind of thing, right? And so my point is that content structure, I think, is really important, and those clusters that you create. And that is probably kind of where I would start, is like planning out what those clusters actually look like. And then you publish them, whether that's, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 pages on that one cluster. And then I would just start getting links to any of those pages. Because if you've structured it properly, getting links to those pages are going to pass PR throughout your cluster. And whether you call it topical authority or just good internal linking structure, the result is usually the same.
And how would you get those first links? How would you?
So homepage links, if it was a new site, I would start with Haro because it's just probably the easiest to get authoritative links. Guest posting is a good one, especially when you're new, you don't have a name in your industry. And probably, I don't want to call it link bait, but like to informational topics, I would focus on getting links to informational topics before I try to get links to the more commercial pages, just because like there's more inherent value for people to link to you. And so even those 3 link building tactics, I guess, should be enough, depending on how competitive your niche is too, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I think would help a new site, get some traction.
Yeah, I like that. How do people get into the SEO space today? Let's say you want to stand out. You want to stand out in SEO. Like
in the industry, like as as cringy as the word is, influencer.
Sure. Let's use that word.
So I think it comes down to like, how good are your results? So if you have good results, so first you have to actually know how to do SEO, or at least have the experience. And then after, it's just a matter of sharing those results. So it's tough. Like I think the fastest way is to join a company that already has a presence. So for example, me joining Ahrefs, and then kind of kickstarting their YouTube channel. And so nobody knew who I was before then, but I had been doing SEO for many, many, many years before that. And I was really in the trenches then. And so that's probably the fastest way, is if you have the experience, join a company where you can deliver value. And we're hiring. So like, if that's you, send me an email. But and then it's just a matter of sharing your results. And if you can share it in a way where the average person can digest that information, then more people will know you, and you'll become, I guess, better known in the industry.
Yeah, I'm telling everybody to get into YouTube. I think YouTube is still one of the easiest ways to get into the SEO space. It's just, I don't know, the idea of creating a new blog about SEO today is just, I don't even.
Absolutely. And I think video it's just so different. Like if you think about a post or not a post, but like think about some content that you read outside of the SEO industry, or even in the SEO industry, which you're like really in. Like, do you remember who wrote that article?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, like I don't know at all. Even within our own blog, like if I think of a good post, I'll be like, oh yeah, and I'll be like, who's the author for that? I don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
But with YouTube or with video, you know who that person was and you remember them. You see that face, you're like, that person looks familiar, or you'll remember their name if you've watched enough of their content.
Yeah. Yeah. How does the future of SEO look for you?
I don't know. Like, I think much of it is going to be the same. And I think like people saying, I don't know, ChatGPT is going to revolutionize search and whatever. Like maybe, but at this point, I still think everything is going to be more or less the same. I think in terms of SEO, I think links will become more important because of ChatGPT, or not because of ChatGPT, but because of AI content.
100%.
I can see it becoming a stronger signal.
Yep.
Content, I don't know if they can fully detect ChatGPT. I'm not fully convinced. I think certain parts maybe, but if it's edited properly, I don't know how that they would be able to detect it. So that's why I feel like links might become a stronger signal over time. But yeah, I think from like 2018 to 2021, I think I made a video every year called SEO in year. And my message was always, it's going to be the same. And I think much of it was like content and links, good technical SEO, good structure. Like much of it is the same. And I think a lot of people are chasing the newest, hottest thing and hoping that it'll be like a magic bullet or silver bullet, whatever.
Yeah.
No, it's going to be the same.
Yeah. What about YouTube SEO? How do you think that's going to change?
So a lot of people are now buying views or but the way that they're engaged views, and it works to rank them, but then they eventually get dropped. So I think, at least in our industry, more and more people are creating YouTube videos in SEO, and naturally it just becomes more competitive. And I think that's a good thing, because even though it may be harder to rank in search, the more successful other people are in your space, the more views you can get from suggested. So I see it as a good thing that search becomes harder, because as people do that, I'm focusing on suggested. So yeah, like I don't think much will change. Like I think a lot of it will be the same, and it's just about people who will stay the course, kind of keep their head down and focus. Yeah,
I do think shorts are going to start to become more and more important. But we'll see. I still have to get into shorts. I'm not in. Well, I did like a brief stint of shorts. I don't know, just to compete with Instagram Reels, with TikTok. I think they're going to start taking it more seriously.
Yeah, I think people just prefer short form content often because they don't care about the talk in between. Yeah. So yeah, no, I can see where you're coming from.
And are you guys using any AI content tools at all? ChatGPT at all for anything, speeding things up in any way? No.
I use it sometimes in my own workflows. So like if I have a title that I'm just like, man, this is like awful, then sometimes I'll ask ChatGPT for like recommendations. Interestingly, I don't know if it's because I'm Canadian, but like in my prompts to ChatGPT, I'll almost always say please. It's just kind of interesting, right?
That's
like,
so funny.
Yeah, it's just kind of funny, but it's like I realized after that I feel like I'm chatting with somebody. Yeah, because the responses are so like legit, like when you get them back. But yeah, no, I don't think we use anything seriously at this time, at least. In our workflows.
Do you think ChatGPT is going to kill Google? What are your thoughts on that? Yeah,
like, I don't know what the future holds, but at this point, like that's just like way too soon.
Right,
to say that. Like, it is nice that we can get answers to things very quickly. Yeah, but like wide scale adoption across all like demographics, like ages, I just can't see it happening anytime soon, at least. Right. But yeah, we'll see what happens with OpenAI and what they decide to do with ChatGPT. But I can assume that it would become a paid service at some point, which I would pay
for sure. Yeah, it's interesting that everybody that was like the main, when ChatGPT kind of came out, that was like the main topic that everybody was talking about. It's going to kill Google. It's the Google killer. But yeah, I still think we're really, really far away from that, if that even happens. Yeah,
because Google's going to be innovating too, right? Like people think that Google's going to stop.
They're just going to sit back and just let it happen. No, they won't.
And they have like infinite funds, basically.
Yeah, they do. So that was it. I don't have any more questions. Anything you want to add? Anything you want to talk about? Where can people find you? Also, obviously on YouTube, if you type in any SEO keyword, he'll be up there.
YouTube, you can search for Ahrefs, and I think I'm the only or the main creator there, at least. Twitter, Sam SGOH is my Twitter handle, and yeah, feel free to message me, DM me if you have any questions, and yeah, happy to help.
Phenomenal. Thanks for the great chat. Thanks for your time. Thanks, Sam.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks.